So hi, today we have Kat, and Kat will cook for us.
Hi, everybody. So today we couldn't decide if we wanted to do crepes or rosti, so we said might as well just do both. So I think we're gonna start with the crepes just because those take a little bit of a while to cook here and there, and we can just do that simultaneously while we're doing the rosti secondly. I've got like a crepe pan here, but honestly, you can use any pan, like it's really not that big of a deal. And I have it, you can see, got it over here, and the pan's at around like just below high. You don't want to have it all the way at high just because that's gonna burn it. But because they're so thin, they do cook really, really, really quickly. So you need for the crepes is 1 cup of milk, 1 cup of flour, 2 eggs, a dash of salt, 1 teaspoon of vanilla, and 1 teaspoon of olive oil. So it's a really, really simple, and it's really, really nice because you can just make it in the morning and just eat pancakes all day.
All day.
So I think this makes around for 2 to 3 people. So I just put 1 cup of flour in, and then you're going to pour out 1 cup of milk.
If you use any other milk, does it work? Or like, can you use almond milk or?
I would assume so. I don't think there's anything too different about the quality, like regarding the quality. I never actually cooked with almond milk before, but I assume it would be the same. Like, so you're gonna get kind of like a little bit of a paste like that, and then you just like spin it around a little bit, get it a little mixed up, and then once you've got it just a little bit mixed up, that's when you should add your eggs. 2 eggs. Such a satisfying thing to like break eggs. It's so nice. It's like,
I know.
like equally destroying when you don't get it right.
Yeah, when that little piece falls into your food, oh my god.
And then you bite it and you're like, ugh. Your whole body goes, that. Okay, so we added the 2 eggs, and it's just gonna make our batter a little bit more liquidy. We're aiming for it to be not thick like typical pancakes. When you have crepes, you want to get all of the lumps out, and so that's kind of why I suggested at the beginning to just kind of mix up your milk and your flour, because the more mixing that you're getting, the more clumps you're eliminating, and then the more smooth it's going to be, and just the nicer texture of the pancake or crepe it's going to be. Sorry, I'm going to put this out there. I'm going to accidentally call crepes pancakes so many times in this video, because this is like my mom's family recipe, and this was always just referred to as pancakes, not crepes. So a dash of salt. You literally just want to throw just a little bit in there. That looked like a lot, but there's not very much salt left in that thing, so I promise it was just one dash. And then you got a teaspoon of vanilla. It's really not one of those recipes where you have to measure everything out and everything has to be perfect. I usually just, if you get one of these artificial vanilla things, I usually honestly just do like just above half of a capful. That seems to be working out pretty well for me. I also really like vanilla, so take your own taste kind of thing. And then 1 teaspoon of olive oil. Pan's a little hot. That's okay. Yeah. So basically you want to get all of these flour bumps and bristles, all of them out. And the older the flour, the more it's got a tendency to do this. But so the end of it should look kind of like that. And so if you look at it here, I've got a fork, but you can see that it's got mainly a liquid texture. Like if you're thinking about hypothetically like a typical fluffy pancake mixture, that's going to be really thick. That's going to be a lot of flour. This one, it kind of almost fully drips off of the spoon with like little hesitation, little resistance. It's kind of a liquid. But it's still got a little bit of that batter feeling to it. And a lot of the times, like, because it is one of those recipes where you can just kind of eyeball it. It's not an exact, it's more just what thickness you prefer on that day. You kind of have to play around with it. I'm surprised that it's worked out for the first time. I'm gonna put our pancakes on the pan now. So we're gonna grab our spray stuff and just spray the pan. This is just like some Pam original spray stuff. You can use butter, you can use olive oil, you can use whatever you really use to like prep your pan. Doesn't really matter. The easiest way to do it, honestly, is to grab like a ladle. And that's gonna really help you. I've taken my pan off because just it's insanely warm. And so you take a little bit into your little ladle here. You drop it down. And then usually if you had two hands, you'd be doing this right away. And you're just gonna spin the pan so that the mixture creates a circle. And if you see, I made a mistake here. I didn't put, you can see all of the white little bumps here. That's all of the flour that's still clumped up. So I did not do a good enough job. And that's okay. It's not gonna make a big difference. But I'm gonna spin it around a few more times over here off camera. And it's gonna cook really quickly. So you see how that's still kind of wet there, but this is like dried up really quickly. Like I can touch it and there's nothing on my finger. You're basically gonna wanna wait until the entire top side isn't a liquid anymore. And that's basically all that you really have to wait for. After that, you can grab your spatula. You can just flip it over. It should look around that consistency. You're just gonna let it cook a little bit more. And so that angled twist thing, not gonna act like I know what it's called, but just spinning around the frying pan just a little bit. That's in place of, if you've ever like gone to a crepe place, they have those little wooden things that spin it. I'm trying to describe it. It's like a little shovel, and then they push all the batter out. I don't own one of those, and they're not necessary. It'd be really cool to own one, but that's just in place of it, because if you can see, like, they're still super thin, right?
Yeah, Mel saying that is a fine looking crepe, nice and thin.
Thank you.
I was just gonna say it looks delicious, Kat.
Thank you. And so it's got like the nice little brown on the bottom side. But I always have trouble with the flip because it's gonna look like that unless you like load your pan up with like butter or oil or something, and that's not always the healthiest, and it tastes just fine. So you just kind of flip it around up until anywhere around like 2 to 5 minutes, depending on how hot your pan is. You're just gonna let it cook evenly on both sides. And then you're gonna grab a plate. And after a little while, you check it. We're both done. It's a little bit on the well done side, but that's okay. So we've still got quite a bit of batter here, and you guys have already watched it being made, so I'm not gonna bother making more because it's just the same process every time. But that being said, my personal favorite thing to put on them are raspberries and whipped cream. So most people put like fruit and whipped cream and maple syrup, but there's also like savory crepes where you can put ham and cheese and all that jazz. And so when you're doing the sweet crepes, you can just leave the crepes like this. You can put the raspberries and the whipped cream on top, and that's totally fine. If you're doing a savory crepe, you're gonna take your crepe and you're gonna throw it back on there. Ow. We'll angle it so you can see it. So I'd probably put some cheese on it. So you're gonna want to put it on half of it. I personally like putting on half of it just because you're gonna be folding that side over, right? Yeah. You're just gonna have a lot of toppings, and that'll be really good. I just don't know what your preferences are. I'm trying to see if I can get different angles. There we go. That's kind of cool. So you've got your cheese and brand new spinach from Walmart yesterday. There we go. Sprinkle some of that on, and then you can throw some onions or ham or tomatoes. I like those little like red grape tomatoes. It's very lovely. And so I'm gonna put a little bit of ham on mine. So like that personally. It's your choice. Put whatever the heck you want on it. It's kind of like a sandwich, honestly. And then you can just either use the spatula or use your hand, and you can flip it over. It's a little hot, so you might want to use the spatula. That's probably the safer idea. And you're gonna flatten it down, because then it all comes together. And then you can flip it over, just so then everything melts together. Take it off. Looks like we cut it in half. You can see all the melted cheese on the inside.
Looks so good, Kat.
Thank you. Hey.
I think what I love the most about crepes is that you can do them as you want. Like you can literally put anything and it will work.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's extremely versatile.
I like that about them too, Melissa, that you can have like a savory one and have like, a healthy breakfast with it, and then but the last one you can put on some like we have cookie butter is like the special thing that we put on it, which is ridiculous stuff. It's like these spice cookies that are all ground up into a paste.
Oh,
And then yeah, it's so indulgent, but it's a nice little add-on with some berries or something.
it sounds good.
It is. It's too good. One of those things.
I also like the to put Nutella on them and cream cheese.
At the same time, cream cheese and Nutella?
Yeah.
Wow, I've never done that before, but that sounds really, really interesting too.
It is good. You should try it sometime.
Yeah.
Also saying cream cheese, Nutella, and raspberry jam.
Oh, I've never tried it with.
And then if you put it on a bagel.
I'm gonna be making bagels later today, I think. So that sounds like something I should do.
Oh, absolutely. Also, making bagel stuff. What the? You can make bagels. That's cool.
Yeah, we should maybe do a thing with it.
Yes, please.
Haven't done it in a while. It's a little, it's easy once you get going with it. If you put the dough in the fridge and you have it to do. Yeah, that was great crepes. They look delicious. Are you gonna have that for breakfast or lunch?
Absolutely. So this one's my favorite. I make this all the time. Okay, so what you're gonna do? So these are roasties. They're just a potato like base, I guess you could say, for a lot of breakfast foods. It's used for different things. Just like with the crepes, you can change up if you want like a savory, the sweet ones, just because it's potato and it kind of like whacks me out. But apparently they do that. Some people do that. So the first thing you're gonna do is you're gonna grab some potatoes, some russet potatoes. I like to use those best. You're gonna wash them. Already did that. And you are gonna grab a cheese grater. And I personally suggest you use the larger side, like the standard cheese grater side. And you're going to grab some paper towel of the ingredients first. So your ingredients for all of these, you're gonna have potatoes, you're going to have some onions, and you're gonna need some olive oil, and then I personally use seasoning salt and a little bit of basil. But honestly, whatever spices you want to put into the roasty, by all means go for it. Whatever's gonna make your roasty taste better to you personally, and like mold with whatever you put on top. So I've got my 2 potatoes, I've got my paper towel, got the cheese grater, I've got a pan that is over here, that's like a 6-ish, and got an onion. So I got a plate. And so just as a precaution, I usually just put another piece of paper towel on top of the plate, just while you're placing it down. So you take your potatoes, you're genuinely just gonna scrape them into the cheese grater. We have a guest appearance from our dog Nova. She wants to smell the potato. German Shepherd Husky mix. She's the most lovable dog I've ever encountered.
I'd love to have my dog in Peterborough.
It's so nice. I remember when I moved into this house, they had like Nova before, and I remember coming home and like people were, one of my friends was like, "Hey, like how'd the house go?" And I was like, "They have a dog." Be getting some good potato shreds. After a while. Ugh. And in all honesty, like it's just how many potatoes do you want to eat on that day and how oniony do you want them? There's really no measurement. Again, kind of seems to be a theme in my cooking. Just eyeball it, just go for it. So I'm gonna get all that out. So you see you've got your potato here. And so it's on the paper towel. And so the potatoes are still really wet and we want it to stick together in the pan because that's the whole point of a roasty. What you're gonna do, they're still on the paper towel. You're just gonna squeeze it out, squeeze all the liquid out and do a little bit of a, so you see the water building up here. Take you over here. You can see. Whoop. There we go. And you just kind of squeeze it out. See all these potato water coming out. You don't have to get it bone dry, just squeeze it out a little bit. And I'm gonna bring it back over here. And then we've got our plate with the paper towel on it. We're just gonna unravel that. Take it out. It's in a ball now. That's okay. Throw this out. And then you're gonna get your onion. And you're going to, I usually take about like a third of it, the unnecessary layers off of it, just because those don't taste great. It's not a good idea. So just gonna do the exact same thing, but with your onion. I have a cut on my finger, and that's not pleasant. So same thing with the potatoes. You can squeeze them out a little bit. Onions are like naturally really, really wet. And then bring your potatoes back in and mix it all in. So now you got potatoes, onions, box, and throw a little bit of garlic, a little bit of seasoned salt, pepper. And that's it for today. Just a little bit of each. Mix it all around again, so then it's not one spot. So I brought mine over here at like generally high number. I think it's at like a 7. And so you're gonna want to put some oil in your pan, and you want to have it hot at the beginning, because what you're trying to do is basically have the entire bottom kind of burn together with the oil, and then it holds its shape, and then you turn it back down. So then it has time to heat throughout the roasty, but not burn the bottom. But burning, like establishing the whole bottom to go together is really important, or it's not going to stick together and it's going to fall apart. Still tastes fine. It's still totally okay. Just not as good. And so I've got my this here. It's really warm. I'm going to let that cool down because that's terrifying. Pan. You're going to dump it in there. You spread it around a little bit. Probably be using safer things. So you've got it here. And you're just gonna flatten it out a bit. And try and make it have that shape. Push it in. Flatten it out. And give it back that circle shape. And flatten it out again. So basically what we're doing here is that we're creating the shape, pushing the potatoes down in the position. So then we're forcing potatoes to have that little grill mark on the bottom that keeps it all together. And so know that some people aren't a huge fan of using a lot of oil in their cooking, which is completely understandable. But that being said, it really helps to keep it together. So whatever amount of oil you're comfortable using, go for it by all means. So I'm putting some in the sides there, just as a little bit of an extra to keep it in. So it's gonna look a little bit like that. You're gonna pat it down, like just keep compressing it. Like the more that you put it together, the more likely it is that it's not gonna fall apart when you flip it over. I personally have quite a bit of potato here, so I've got a good chance of it falling apart, but that's fine. If you look under here, you can see that it's starting to all come together. It's all starting to create that golden little caramelization, I guess. And so that's gonna cook for a little bit longer. We usually soft boil an egg and I put that on top. And then I usually get like, there's like these roasted garlic and herb like cheeses. I got this one for like $4 at Walmart. It's a goat cheese. It's really, really good for $4. And I would highly recommend putting that on there. You typically put like, I typically put like little tomatoes, some spinach, some actual cheese, so like shredded cheddar cheese. Still trucking along here. If you can see, it's starting to get that orange. It's super easy to make. Like I didn't think that it would be. But if I were to add cheese, I'd probably flip it over and then put the cheese on top and let it melt with the other side, personally. But there's also one I don't want to say technique, that's kind of weird. But one way that I saw somebody making it was that they split their potatoes in half and then they made the base, put ham and cheese and everything, and then put the other half of the potatoes on top. And so it was like kind of like a potato sandwich. Okay, so you can see that it's kind of gold on the bottom. And so I personally find that just doing like a pancake flip is usually the easiest, but it never works out. Nope. There we go.
Oh, wow. I can't do that. I'll just flip it with the thing.
And so that's what it looks like now. So that's the side that we just cured on the bottom. So I'm going to turn it down a little bit. And it's just going to sit there for a little while. I've just put a little bit of goat cheese on the plate. I usually warm the tomatoes up with it. But other than that, it's pretty straightforward. You can always warm your sides up with it. So doing pretty good. Might add, I don't know. I added quite a bit of oil earlier, so I'm not going to add any more. But it would be a good time to do so. I'm going for a little bit of a lighter toast. So, there we go. And that's how you make a roasty.
It looks so good, Kat. It looks so good. Saphira is here and she says she thinks she wants to make them. So hooray.
They're so good. They're so good. I would highly suggest it.
And so then you put the goat's cheese on top, and then did you say you warm up little tomatoes?
I'd usually do like maybe a spoonful. That usually goes for all of this. And I honestly probably could eat this like with 2 people. It's pretty big. I'd usually just do a spoonful of the goat cheese after it comes out. I like to warm up little grape tomatoes a little bit on top of it when it's still in the pan. If you're putting ham on it, completely your choice. If you want to throw the cheese, like if the ham and like maybe cheddar cheese on. Yeah, that was fun. Thank you so much for having me. That was a lot of fun.
Thank you, Kat.